Keep your heads held high, Power Rangers fans. It is a new era for Power Rangers as we know it. Issue 1 of Power Rangers Prime dropped today as I'm filming this. If you don't know what Power Rangers Prime is, basically it is the new form of Power Rangers. The show has ended and the main comic run has ended, and this is meant to be the kickstart of a new comic run. We'll get the one-offs, you know, we've got MMPR The Return, we've got Across the Morphing Grid, but this, in theory, if all goes well, and if you guys read it, will be the new kickstart of the franchise. On the very first page, we see somebody who, we can't tell who it is, but they're running their fingers through what seems like paint, until we realize this is clearly like some sort of dimensional, like maybe the Morphing Grid, maybe not, but there is a red MMPR style Ranger, kind of like the one on the front cover, but the one on the front cover looks female, and this one definitely has a more masculine build. And then behind them we have silhouettes of other Rangers. The unknown being then asks, in what kind of world would a hero be created? Which we then cut immediately to Lauren being chased down by Eltarian forces, which is already crazy. I did a video on this just before it came out, well, a couple of months ago now, and I was basically talking about how is Lauren related to Eltarian the slightest. We're about to find out in this comic. She's being chased down by Eltarian forces and she pulls out her Samuraiser and is about to morph, but it gets destroyed just before she can do so. When the Eltarian police realize she's a Ranger, like the forces just get up. They're like, this is risky business now, and she needs to escape. And she ends up hiding in a dumpster now. There's this guy called Mark Zao who stumbles across her and can't believe what he's seeing. But as the Eltarian forces show up and say, have you seen this girl? Why are you acting so suspicious? He was like, look, man, I'm just taking out the trash. I'm in my pajamas, I'm in my boxers. I ain't seen no girl. So they crack on, and he obviously doesn't know what to do. Side note, I don't smoke 20 cigarettes a day. I'm just coming off the back end of the flu, so which is why my voice sounds like this. We then cut to Angel Grove University. It looks very retro-futuristic. Let me get a quote from Winston Churchill, of all people. And this is where we find out sort of the main premise of this story. So basically, 70 years ago, Earth was under attack, and it was about to be game over. Earth's defenses wasn't enough, and the Eltarians, who have sworn to be the protectors of the known galaxy, set a course for Earth and save Earth from these aliens. But whilst they're there, they decide to colonize. So Earth is now primarily Eltarian, with obviously many other people living amongst them as well. But the Eltarians colonized, which, for better or for worse, I don't know. And also this does make a lot of sense as well. As I said, I had no idea why Lauren was getting in trouble with Eltarians. If anyone is a grounded character, it's her. But this is cool. This is a cool way of explaining it. So we're in the Angel Grove University, and Mark is in a lecture, and he's texting Orion, who is his roommate, and asking how Lauren's doing, because Lauren, he helped her out. Is this Super Mega Force Orion, or is this just a casual name drop? I don't know. And amongst the same class as Mark is an Eltarian called, I want to believe it's pronounced June. I'm going to assume it's not Jun. I'm going to assume it's June, and maybe it's short for like Junior or something. I don't know, but June. So June and Mark are in the same class, and there's a bit of a discussion they have before we kind of follow off the June story a little bit. Now, he takes us to like basically this like PE kind of ground, and he meets up with somebody called Valentina, who's clearly just his friend. But Valentina has what clearly looks like a boyfriend called Ryan. And Ryan at some point asks June if he's finally ready to join trooper training, which makes me believe that this is Ryan Steele from VR Troopers. Meaning the VR Troopers are canon in this Power Rangers comic world, which I think is really cool. Obviously, back in the day in Mighty Morphin, we had the crossover with Masked Rider, but we never had that VR Troopers crossover. I get a fun fact again, Jason David Frank was meant to be in that show, and the guy who plays Ryan Steele was meant to be the White Ranger. They did a fat switch up, because, you know, kids love Tommy, but yeah. Yeah, and sure enough, literally, like 4 panels down, we see the VR Troopers, and apparently they were like Earth's OG like defenders, like pre-Eltarians. Now I wonder if, we'll get on to a little bit more in depth later on, but like, were Power Rangers like a mass thing? Like there's a part where they're all talking and June basically says, I was looking into them again, where Valentina says they are fictional, like they're not real. We don't really see what they are, but as soon as he's just had that altercation with, not only an altercation, but just that interaction with Lauren, maybe there is like this mythos of what a Power Ranger is. You know, they weren't as big as they were in like the main universe. We then cut to Orion and Lauren in Mark and Orion's apartment, and there's a Ninja Turtle reference for starters, which already we've got VR Troopers, Ninja Turtles, and Winston Churchill. And Orion confirms that Mark is half human and half Aquitian, which is quite cool, you know, and it goes to show Billy and Cestria, they could have and also forget what I said earlier, they've just confirmed that Orion says he's Andresian, which means that he is in fact Orion from Super Mega Force. He's probably not a Ranger yet, he's probably just that guy. Or if at all, because I think in the TV show he got his key from his home planet, and clearly he's now on like post Eltarian-Earth. So yeah, I assume he's not going to become Megaforce Silver, but who knows? As Mark is then coming home, we basically see all the Eltarians like warding off buildings, and then he's like, oh my god, I need to like tell Orion. And there's this Eltarian warrior that goes up to him and is like, what are you doing? I saw you the other day, you're really suspicious. And then June shows up out of nowhere and he's like, leave him be, he's my friend. And he's like, oh wow, okay. So I don't know. So there's the university, and whoever this person is June's mother, but I don't know why that would have any authority to him having authority over Eltarian police officers. Have I missed something? I don't know. But during this, we start getting Lauren's monologue, and it's basically begins as the regular samurai story. Like centuries and centuries ago, ancient warriors were connected to the morphing grid and became the samurai rangers. We then see them going through literal like centuries and millenniums, like the amount, like ancient Japan and then medieval England, colonial United States, like time and time again, where we see all the samurai rangers, we see the samurai megazord, and they were Earth's defenders, and that was the point. Which kind of begs back on the question of like, were Power Rangers ever really a thing, or was it just the Samurai Rangers? Because obviously at the start of this panel we saw this Ranger and these other potential Rangers. It's clear that somewhere across the multiverse that the Rangers do exist. Obviously if you're talking about the vast multiverse, then obviously all of these Rangers exist, but in this kind of in this solo comic we don't really know yet. But we see that the Samurai Rangers were able to take on any battle until the final, like these aliens, and that's when the Eltarians stepped in and obviously chose to colonize. And it seems that Eltarians have beef with Power Rangers because Lauren's entire family was taken, assumably Jaden as a part of this, and she's been on the run ever since. And obviously we saw earlier she was on the run from Eltarian police, and then they found out she was a Ranger, and then she was in like extra trouble. So what is it about Eltarians and Rangers? I'm thinking instantly that this is like a rebellion type thing. Like the Eltarians are sort of like the wrong team think they're the right team, and the right team is having to rebel. Do you know what I mean? By no means is it an accurate depiction on the world or the United States right now. But Lauren's monologue finishes and we cut to just a random street where there's a big explosion that comes from the moon and crash lands a very, very, very familiar space dumpster. The top of it opens and somebody with grey hair and rainbow fingers steps out, saying the line, "A brand new world. After so many years, I'm free." And the comic ends with what is clearly a new version of Rita Repulsa landing on Earth. This is clearly who we saw at the start of the comic book. Is she evil? Or is this actually Rita Repulsa? Is this somebody else? Like, why would this person be with this like Morphin Master-esque like tribe of rangers being able to fiddle with morphin energy and then she lands on Earth? My theory, straight out the way, is that she is good. She's not evil, but out of like the entire like morphin multiverse of Rita Repulsas, she's like the only one who from birth is good, because obviously Rita gets purified and becomes Mystic Mother, blah 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 blah. My theory is she's somehow been chosen and she's been sent to this dimension by whoever these guys are, because again, why is there like a mystical tribe of rangers in the ether where Rita can just put her fingers in some paint? Like, what? That was a wild read though. Lauren's setup was done really well, and I love the fact that not only is she on the run from the Eltarians, but like not only there's a purpose for it, but she's like she's not just wanted because she's done something bad. Like, she's wanted because of who she is and what she does, and that is a depiction of real life currently. It's nice that we're raising awareness for this type of stuff while also giving a kick-ass story, because this first issue went hard. Definitely recommend you guys pick this up and read it. I've got 2 variant covers on order, none of them have come. Same thing happened recently. I've did like 6 videos on across the Morphing Grid, and only after finishing all the videos did the comic actually come. The Eltarian colonization is a really cool concept as well. I really didn't expect them to go that way with it. I wonder if down the line we'll see anything to do with the Zordon. Personally, I'd rather we didn't. I'd love to take a more of a deep dive into Eltar without having to tie Zordon into every bit of it. I wonder what other sort of cameos or like other characters we'll bump into. I've tried, because this is the thing, I've read like the baseline synopsis of this, which is what I did the last video on in terms of Power Rangers Prime, but I haven't really gone into it. Like, I didn't know VR Troopers were going to be into it. Well, kind of got spoiled for it, but I got so far without finding out. And yeah, I think it's really cool. I think the dynamic between having a half Aquitian and just an Eltarian having to, like, you know, navigate themselves through a story with Lauren, who is just full human and a Power Ranger. Will we see the Power Rangers? I just want to know. I believe it is December 18th is when we get issue 2, so of course I'll be doing another video on issue 2 when that comes out. But like I said, pick up this comic book if you got, listen, if you're a fan of Power Rangers and you want the brand to continue, and you want like Hasbro to know that, this is the chance. Buy the comic, read the comic, tweet about the comic, make videos about the comic, make this comic like your unofficial child. Like, this needs to be appreciated, this needs to be loved. It's good anyway. It's not as if you have to force yourself through like pain trying to like do. It's a good comic, very high hopes for the story, and I'm just looking forward to see what comes out of it. So credit to Melissa Flores, credit to all the artists that worked on this. I say it all the time, the art is so good in these comic books. What was your favorite moment? I think mine might have to be just that ending when Rita Repulsa comes out of that dumpster, or whoever this is comes out of that space dumpster. I think that was really cool.